Hello, hello. Welcome to the discussion for Rainbow Valley. I was just realizing I didn't underline all my tabs here, so I was just quickly underlining a few sentences. Why don't you guys say hello in the comments while I try to figure out what I'm underlining here. Oh yeah. Oh man. I really enjoyed this book, you guys. There's some really good lines here. Definitely going back to a favorite Anne book here. And I say Anne book, but she's barely even in it. But surprisingly, that didn't really bother me this time. Hello, Lindy. Welcome here. Glad to have you for another one. Just a warning, I am home alone with my 5-year-old, so I told her not to interrupt me, but if all of a sudden you hear a kid or I suddenly mute myself, that's what's going down. She should be good, but pre-warning just in case. So, Rainbow Valley, number 7. It's number 7 of the series. It's just kind of blowing my mind. I know we only have one more left, but wow. Okay. I'm going to share some overall thoughts. I would love to hear overall thoughts from you guys. Where does this fall in the series for you? Which is really hard to do at this point. I feel like I should have tiered them right from the beginning as I was reading them. But I definitely think that this is one of my favorites. And I wasn't expecting that. I didn't see that coming. I didn't remember that I loved it the first time. But I gave it 5 stars the first time through. So obviously I did love it. It's crazy. We're almost done. Yes. It's kind of sad. It's bittersweet. I've enjoyed rereading the series and reading some of her books this year. I still do not know what I want to do for December. December, we're supposed to just do either any of her works or an L.M. Montgomery adjacent book. I have options. I don't know what I'm going to do. So, Rainbow Valley, very much like the last few, Anne is not very present in the book. But I feel like the tiny glimpses that we get of her in this book, I really enjoyed. The Meredith children feel like they can trust her. And even there was a quote right at the beginning that I loved. I was surprised how much of the focus was on the Merediths. Yes, and you've read these before, right, Lindy? This is a reread for you. I also forgot. It's not even the other books are kind of about Anne's kids. It's not even about Anne's kids, really. It's completely shifted to the Meredith children, which is maybe why I enjoyed it. New characters. I don't know, new people. Right at the beginning of the book, before people really know much about these Meredith children, they play in a graveyard. And Anne says, "I've always thought graveyards must be delightful places to play in." And I can relate to Anne there. I love graveyards. Honestly, a couple weeks ago, my daughter and her friends, they wanted to film a video. And they wanted to film it in a graveyard. And they were like, who would take us there? And then they voted me. I'm like, I would definitely take you guys there. I'd just go sit and read. Look at the gravestones. I did that last fall. It was very interesting. So I love our little glimpses of Anne, even though they are minor. Oh, why does my voice always go when I'm filming live? It doesn't generally do this when I'm filming regularly. Favorite characters from the book? I don't know if you have any favorites. I really liked Una. That's her name, right? The one Meredith child. She's like quiet, and I could imagine her and Walter together in the future. They just have such a. Although Walter stood up for Faith, but I feel like they have similarities in their personalities. I'm trying to remember who else I thought was. Faith kind of just annoyed me, to be honest, so I wouldn't put her on a favorite list. Oh, Marshall Elliott. There's a scene we'll talk about yet where I was like, oh, I love this guy. I love this guy. Yeah, Walter and Una, that'd be great. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through my tabbed sections like I usually do. If you have general thoughts, things that you liked about the book, things that you didn't, feel free to chime in. Okay, this is so random, but this killed me. When the Over Harbor doctor married the undertaker's daughter at Lowbridge, people felt suspicious of him. There's a money-making business. Get a doctor and a undertaker together and just kill all your patients, and then you got funerals to do. That was funny. Oh, okay. We get to the Marshall Elliott part here really quickly. So Mary Vance is another character that comes in, and she is in so many ways just a mini Anne. Like in some ways, I feel like this book just restarts. But she has the Meredith children to kind of help her. How their dad kind of doesn't even realize like this girl is living in their house. I mean, it talks about how he's a dreamer. He doesn't notice much, I guess. But Una took it upon herself to go tell Miss Cornelia, as she is still called, that she should take Mary in. Oh man, my throat. And then Miss Cornelia and her husband have this conversation. And shall we take this merry creature, Marshall? Yes, take her, said Marshall. Just like a man. She's still saying her line. Says his wife despairingly. Take her, as if that was all. There are 100 things to be considered. Believe me. Take her and we'll consider them afterwards. Yes. That I really liked. He's like, we'll work out the details. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I feel like that's often not my personality to like say yes and then worry about things afterwards. But I like that. This is a good question, Lindy. I wondered if there's anyone in real life that is as absent-minded as Mr. Meredith. Is that possible? I don't know. I'm trying to think. The thing is, like, if he wasn't a minister, he like almost never would have left his house. Well, he went visiting a few times, but like everything was about his books. He stayed up all night reading his books on different topics. So if there was anyone that absent-minded, like how much would they actually leave their house? I don't know. I don't think I know anyone like that I can think of. Oh, is this an Una scene? Yes. Okay. Just another part where I love her. Her and Mary are talking about how Miss Cornelia is going to take Mary in, and Una says, "God will help you, you know, Mary, if you ask Him." She says, "I don't know about that." "Oh, Mary, you know we asked God to get you a home, and He did." "I don't see what He had to do with it," retorted Mary. "It was you who put it into Mrs. Elliott's head." "But God put it into her heart to take you. All my putting it into her head wouldn't have done any good if He hadn't." Yep, just another scene where I really liked Una. She's very much like Cecily from The Story Girl, that one. Cecily was always coming out with these great lines as well, so I like that. I like to see the similarities between Montgomery's books where like certain characters are very similar, which I mean, I've never written anything like fiction. I imagine you kind of gravitate to writing the same few characters. Well, then these poor Meredith children, the girls, were cleaning and shaking out the rugs on a Sunday in the graveyard. Like, can it get any worse than that? Somehow they mixed up the days and they thought they were doing it on Monday. They were doing it on Sunday. And like the whole how the town was horrified but didn't talk to them. They just all gossiped about it without talking to anyone. No one came in, like, what was their aunt's name? Martha? Aunt Martha? Um, yeah, Aunt Martha. She's like sick for days, and Carl was sick, and no one knows. And instead, they're just like sitting at home or talking to each other and gossiping about what they're doing. They needed a mom. It was very evident from early on. Yeah. Although I do feel like Maud really fleshed out Faith and Una, and then I kept forgetting like who were the other kids because there was Jerry and Carl. I think it was just those two, but they didn't really have a whole lot going on here. Oh, and then Faith, she goes up to the front of the church to put everything to rights, is what she figured. But some of the things that she said over the pulpit were pretty hilarious. We thought we'd clean house on Monday and stop old cats from talking about how dirty it is. And she's saying that while they're there, caused a general sensation all over the church. Yeah. She's just trying to do the right thing, the poor little girl. And Gilbert was barely in it. There's like one scene where he was joking to Anne about this is when Walter was riding a pig with Faith. And he's like, so this is how you bring up your boys, like jokingly to her. I feel like that's like the only time he's in the entire book. Oh yeah, Faith, she was hilarious. But also like, okay, just like stop. Nowhere to stop. And then Anne standing up for Faith. I thought there was something brave and pathetic in her getting up there before the church full of people to confess. You could see she was frightened to death, yet she was bound to clear her father. I loved her for it. Yeah, Anne would have done something like that as a kid, probably. The one thing that cracked me up too is how much Susan hates that Walter writes poetry. Like he's a good kid, but like he writes poetry. She says, "You know as well as I do, Mrs. Doctor dear, that the blessed child would never have thought of riding on a pig, even if he does write poetry. Like, even if he does these other bad things, like write poetry, he wouldn't have thought of riding a pig." Oh yes, and then there's a romance that happens here. Yeah, I don't know why Susan hates poetry so much, but I partway through I was like, oh, I should have been underlining all the times that she put down Walter's poetry because there was quite a few. So Rosemary and Mr. Meredith. And I liked it. It said here, it is never quite safe to think we have done with life. When we imagine we have finished our story, fate has a trick of turning the page and showing us yet another chapter. I wouldn't say fate necessarily, but I get the idea of what she's saying. What else? Okay, back to Mr. Meredith and his like absent-mindedness. He's after church. No, before church. Doesn't matter. He's shaking hands on the church steps and hoped dreamily that Mrs. Douglas was well. He's talking to Norman Douglas when he came to church after Faith told him to come. She wasn't very well before I buried her 10 years ago, but I reckon she has better health now, boomed Norman, to the horror and amusement of everyone except Mr. Meredith. There's an answer. Being in your own little world is definitely has its drawbacks when you say things like that. Oh, and then Faith's poor chicken. No, rooster. Oh, Adam was killed and eaten with the visiting minister. It was kind of funny. I felt bad for Faith, but it was kind of funny. As he's like gleefully cutting the bird, and she's just like dying inside. Here's another. I think I was this last little bit I was reading while I was waiting for my CT scan, so I didn't get to underline things. I just tapped them. This. Who is this? Is this Susan? Yeah, it must be because she's saying this is Dr. Dear. Never shall I forget my sensations, Mrs. Dr. Dear, when I saw a minister's child walking up the aisle of our church with no stockings on. I really did not know what way to look. No stockings on. I need to underline that. The things that were appalling 100-ish years ago that no one would even mention right now, like it's interesting how quickly things change. And then Anne, she stands up. She's talking to Miss Cornelia. I don't remember if there was anyone else here. She says, who is she talking about here? Anyone, I think. I would say to them, dear Christian friends, with marked emphasis on Christian, I have something to say to you, and I want to say it good and hard, that you may take it home and repeat it to your families. You Methodists need not pity us, and we Presbyterians need not pity ourselves. We are not going to do it anymore, and we are going to say boldly and truthfully to all critics and sympathizers, we are proud of our minister and his family. And then she keeps going. It's like, I wish she would have. This is the old Anne that would have stood up and said this verbally. And now she just says it to Miss Cornelia. It's definitely a little bit sad that Anne had to go and grow up. It makes for less interesting reading. But then you get some people like Faith and Mary Vance that are kind of like mini Annes. When I was at the hospital for my CT scan, while I was reading this, there was an older man. He said he was 87. He obviously was very lonely and wanted to chat. And he's like, little lady, you should start your book over and you should read it out loud to me. But then he just ended up chatting. But definitely lonely. It would have been kind of fun to read this out loud, though. I'm not sure what he would think of some Montgomery, but what else? Oh yeah, Una. She went to ask Rosemary to marry her father. I forgot about that. Una Meredith has just been here to ask me to marry her father. Not the first time in this series that somebody has asked somebody else to marry someone else. Like, what was her name? Jane or something like that. In one of the earlier books, asked Anne to marry her brother. Now we've got Una proposing for her father. This one is a much better proposal than Jane or whoever that one was. Okay, that is all I had underlined. Oh, yeah. That was sweet, especially because she thought Rosemary would change. Yes, Mary told her that all stepmothers change. That's right. So it was like terrifying, but she did it anyway. And then, do we even hear from the Meredith children or about the Meredith children in the next book? This one was written in 1919. I'm going to pull out Rilla from my TBR bucket here. Rilla's pretty thick. This is definitely like one of the thicker ones. I don't remember when this one was written. 1921. So these are in order, at least. Rilla was written after Rainbow Valley and is significantly longer. That's like 50 pages longer. Oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time reading this one over again. I don't remember if Kenneth Ford is in here. I wish they would have been in it more as well. You think they're in Rilla? Okay. I'm just like trying to skim and see if there's Mary. Mary's in here. Oh yeah, Carl Meredith. Mm-hmm. So at least he's in there. I'm just trying to read without reading too much. You really liked Rilla. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm so torn on this one. I'm so torn. Oh, okay. About 50% through Rilla. Yes, Meredith children are part of the general group of young people. Okay, cool. I remember parts of Rilla. I think I remember more of Rilla than I did of Rainbow Valley, though. So back then, you can't really see my tabs. The tabs were color coded, and like blue is usually like either beautiful writing or something that made me sad. So there's not very many tabs in this one, but they're mostly blue. So that's fun. Yeah, any other thoughts on Rilla? Oh, I got an interruption here. I will be back in a moment. You guys tell me if you have any other thoughts on the book while I'm gone. Okay, I had her watching a show and apparently there was something scary, so I had to go help with that. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the book? Does anyone know what they're reading for December? Maybe that'll help me decide. I kind of want to read either The Blythes Are Quoted or Before Green Gables because I have them in pretty editions that match. But then there's also like her journals and there's also, yeah, there's a book called The Landscapes of Anne of Green Gables that I got out from the library before, but I don't know if they have it here. It's my first time reading Rainbow Valley and I enjoyed it so much. Yay! I'm glad. I really enjoyed it too. It's funny how Norman Douglas thought it'd be fun to live with someone who hated him. Yeah, he was quite the character, hey? Like it was Faith that went to him, right? When Faith went and it was a pushover, he's like, just go away. But as soon as she was like, came in guns blazing, he was like, I will listen to you. The Blythes Are Quoted, I think, are short story. I'll grab it. I think this is my mod collection minus her journal, which I've started her first one years ago, and I just haven't gotten very far because I know her life gets harder at the point where I am. Blythes Are Quoted. Here we go. It's the rediscovered last work of L.M. Montgomery. So, this has a sticker over it, a price tag. Oh yeah, you're Jessica gonna read The Landscapes of Anne of Green Gables and Merry Christmas, Anne, which is a children's picture book. There is also like some mod Christmas short stories as well. Okay, almost got this price tag off of here. Then I can actually read it. Adultery, illegitimacy, revenge, murder, and death. These are not the first terms we associate with L.M. Montgomery. Intended by Montgomery to be the 9th volume in her best-selling series featuring Anne Shirley, Blythe, The Blythes Are Quoted takes Anne and her family 2 decades beyond anything else she published about them, and some of its subject matter is darker than we might expect. Okay, I haven't read this at all. This publication of Montgomery's rediscovered original work, previously published only in severely abridged form as The Road to Yesterday, which, do I have that one? Yeah, I do have that one. The Road to Yesterday invites readers to return to her earlier books with a renewed appreciation and perspective. Someone was also telling me that she wrote some kind of like mystery or something. I forgot to look at that. What does this say? Okay, so this is 14 of the Blythe's favorite tales, whatever that means. But I kind of want to read this one if this is like expanded or interesting. A few other books I have. Okay, so there's Before Green Gables by Budge Wilson. See, they match. So I kind of want to read these. They match-ish, at least. This matches the 100-year publication. This is about her life before going to Green Gables. I've got The Doctor's Sweetheart. I have this in 2 editions, actually. The Doctor's Sweetheart. These are short stories. A Tangled Web. This is like family drama, I think. Further Chronicles of Avonlea. So we read Chronicles of Avonlea in July or something. Along the Shore, which are short stories. and then The Road to Yesterday, and Akin to Anne, Tales of Other Orphans. Those are the unread mod books that I have that are possibilities for December, but I'm kind of leaning towards The Blythes Are Quoted. So we'll see. And then I also haven't read the one that's on my no, what month is this? November TBR. Other than Rilla, I think I had Mistress Pat or Pat of Silverbush, whichever one's the second one. I can never remember. Might want to read Further Chronicles of Avonlea. Yeah. I mean, that'd be fun. To read The Christmas Tree Farm. I don't know that one. Oh, you missed The Story Girl. Yeah. Another one for those, if anyone did read The Story Girl, the next one, This Golden Road, is that what it's called? Why am I blanking? Is like the second book in that series. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me for another live. I guess we have one more left. End of the month, beginning of December, I'll do one for Rilla, and then we'll be done. So, yeah, I should, now that I've done this live, I can start Rilla. I didn't want to start it until we talked about the other book. Otherwise, it'll all get too confusing. So, hopefully you guys can finish off the series by reading the last book, and we will have completed the Anne series. So yeah, that's all for me now. Thanks for coming. I'm glad it's been fun, Lindy. You guys have a good rest of your Saturday. I've got a video coming Monday. It's a book haul / a puzzle haul, if that's of interest. So have a great day.